The grand concert hall echoed with laughter. The famous pianist, Alexander Roth, had just wrapped up his breathtaking performance. Every note he played had dazzled the crowd. Known as a maestro of modern classical music, Alexander's fingers danced across the grand piano like they were born to it. He stood up, bowed with theatrical flair, and soaked in the thunderous applause. Cameras flashed. Fans roared. Music critics scribbled praises in their notepads. Then, with a self-satisfied grin, he returned to the microphone. "I feel generous tonight," he said, twirling the end of his silk scarf. "Anyone from the audience wants to give this piano a try?" The crowd laughed. They knew his tone, sarcastic, cocky. This wasn't a real offer. It was a part of the show. A chance for him to mock amateurs and prove how untouchable his skill truly was. A few hands rose hesitantly, mostly teenagers or elderly fans just playing along. And then, a woman stood up in the back row. She looked like she didn't belong. Wearing a simple floral dress, worn-out sandals, and carrying a tiny purse, the woman appeared to be in her early 60s. Her gray-streaked hair was tied in a modest bun.
No makeup, no jewelry.
No hint of musical flair. Alexander smirked. "You?" he said mockingly. "Please come." The spotlight followed her as the audience parted to let her through. Whispers filled the room. Some chuckled. Others looked puzzled. This woman didn't look like a pianist. She looked like someone's grandmother. Someone who had wandered in by mistake. But what happened next would change everything. She walked slowly to the grand piano at center stage. Alexander stepped aside with an exaggerated bow, waving her toward the seat as if this were a comedy show. The audience laughed again, some even pulling out their phones to record. The woman sat down and gently placed her purse on the floor. Then her fingers hovered over the keys. Not shaky, but steady, familiar, like meeting an old friend. A long silence. Then she played. Not a clumsy tune, not a child's melody, but something deep, something breathtaking, the kind of music that stilled the air and made people forget to breathe. The audience, who had been mocking her just seconds ago, now fell into complete silence. Her fingers moved with elegance and control. She wasn't just playing the piano. She was telling a story through sound. Every note shimmered with emotion. Grief, love, joy, and pain all wrapped into one. Alexander's smirk faded. He leaned closer. His eyes widened. He recognized the piece. It was Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 2, but played with a subtlety and raw emotion even he struggled to achieve. It wasn't just skill. It was soul. By the time she finished, the concert hall was in complete stillness. Then, an eruption of applause, louder than Alexander's own standing ovation. People were on their feet. Some had tears in their eyes. Alexander? He was speechless. Backstage, chaos unfolded. Who was she? Where had she learned to play like that? A reporter chased her down. "Ma'am, what's your name? Are you a professional pianist?" She gave a soft smile and replied, "Not anymore." Alexander himself approached, stunned but curious. "Where did you learn that? You must have trained at a conservatory." "Juilliard?"
Vienna.
She shook her head.
No.
"I used to play a long time ago, before life got in the way." Her name was Elena Markov. In her youth, Elena had been a piano prodigy in Eastern Europe. Trained by a blind Hungarian master in a small village, she had performed in underground competitions, often outshining conservatory students twice her age. But when her father died, Elena had to give up her dreams to care for her younger siblings. Later, she worked as a school teacher, raised a family, and played only for herself in the quiet hours of the night. She had never been recorded, never been signed, never performed on a world stage. Until tonight. "Why didn't you pursue music professionally?" a reporter asked. She looked at the piano with a sad smile. "Because I didn't need a stage. I just needed the music." Alexander invited her to sit with him in the VIP lounge afterward. "I've never seen anything like that," he confessed, sipping his wine. "You made that Rachmaninoff piece weep."
Elena nodded softly.
Music is not just about technique, Mr. Roth. It's about what you've lived through. Those words struck him like a hammer. Alexander was brilliant, yes, but arrogant. For years, he had played perfectly, but with little heart. His performances were admired, but rarely remembered. Tonight, Elena, a woman forgotten by time, had shown the world what true music sounded like. He offered her a chance to tour with him. You could teach, mentor, perform again. The world needs to hear you. But she declined. I'm glad they heard me once. That's enough. He insisted. At least come to my masterclass. I want my students to learn what I just learned tonight. She agreed. A week later, at a prestigious music academy, Alexander introduced her as a living legend. The students, young, talented, and proud, looked unimpressed at first. But once Elena touched the keys, jaws dropped. She didn't just play. She made the piano cry, laugh, whisper, and roar. One student asked, "How do you do that? You don't even look at the sheet." She answered, "Because I don't play with my eyes. I play with my heart." The video of her surprise concert had gone viral by then. Over 40 million views in 2 days. Headlines around the world called her the forgotten virtuoso and the woman who played truth. A music label reached out, offering her a solo album. She declined again. But what she didn't decline was the flood of letters from young pianists, thanking her for showing them that music isn't about age, fame, or glitter. It's about honesty. Alexander, now humbled, began changing his own style. More emotion, less showmanship. He credited her in every interview. The story became a legend told in music schools worldwide. A simple woman who walked into a hall full of laughter and left it filled with silence, awe, and respect.